The 1911 is one of my all-time favorite handguns. Sure, on paper, the numbers don't quite line up. I mean, 7+1 rounds of 45 ACP and a flush-fitting magazine, an overly heavy design, and, at least in the original USGI models, fairly minuscule iron sights. But still, it's not some special French je ne sais quoi that makes the 1911 so alluring. It's the combination of the fact that it has so much history behind it, as well as it has an amazing ergonomics. The guns point very well, the grip angle is basically ideal, and the thumb safety location even acts as a counterpoint for an old school target style grip. Now, growing up, a 1911 was my first handgun, and as much as I loved it, it's become a little difficult to justify today in terms of affordability, at least in terms of ammunition, the gun itself. So I used to seek out ways to make my shooting experience with the 1911 a little cheaper. Now sure, there are 9mm variants, but I wanted the cheapest bang for my buck possible. So of course I went looking around for 22 caliber 1911 variants. What I found is that the majority of them are either overpriced or they feel like a pellet gun, airsoft gun hybrid. At least that was the case until I got my hands on the GSG 1911, now being imported by ATI. Built in Germany, the GSG 1911 is a direct blowback, 22 caliber, semi-automatic pistol designed to replicate the size, weight, and feel of a Colt 1911 chambered in 45 ACP. Like I said, the GSG 1911 isn't a true 1911, as it operates via direct blowback and not short recoil swinging link. This is because it doesn't need to lock its breech, because the pressure generated by a .22 long rifle cartridge is vastly less than most centerfire pistol rounds, meaning a locked breech, which is designed to delay the unlocking until pressure levels hit a safe level, is superfluous, at least in this case, simply because the round doesn't generate enough force to make it worthwhile. Another deviation from the original design is the gun's magazine capacity, 10+1 rounds of .22 long rifle and a flush-fitting box-type magazine. This magazine is partially skeletalized and includes a loading assist lever permanently attached to the magazine follower. Now these steel magazines are surprisingly well built and are so similar to size and shape to USGI mags that they'll insert and lock into a real 1911. Thankfully, the reverse is not true of 45 mags in a GSG. Another big departure from the original design is the inclusion of a magazine safety, meaning the gun will not fire with a magazine removed. Personally, I believe magazine safeties are among the dumbest inventions in the firearms world. Simply put, they teach very bad habits that could get people killed, and are hugely detrimental on combat or concealed carry firearms. Now that said, the GSG 1911 is neither of these things, so the mag safety doesn't really bother me, though it's still something to be aware of and could be remedied. Now the last big difference between the real deal and GSG's 22 facsimile is the gun's hidden threaded muzzle. The GSG features a 1/2x28 threaded muzzle that, when topped with the special included thread protector, makes the barrel flush with the bushing and the slide, giving it an original 1911 style appearance. When the shooter wants to run the gun more quietly, they can replace the smooth thread protector with an extended threaded portion that permits mounting on various muzzle devices, like this innovative arms Slingshot TI provided by Silencer Shop. Equipped with a lightweight can like the Slingshot, the GSG 1911 was dead quiet when used with subsonic ammunition. Additionally, the GSG 1911 was capable of incredible accuracy with the right ammunition type, roughly minute of bottle cap at 15 yards, so long as the shooter did their part. Because of this, plinking targets was stupid enjoyable, especially to new shooters. And personally, this is where the GSG 1911 can really shine. Sure, it makes a fun range plinker for anybody of any skill level, but new shooters who are trying to master the fundamentals, like sight picture and trigger control, can really learn a great deal from this soft shooting pistol. The single action only 1911 style trigger makes hitting targets easy, while the Novak style post and notch sights are excellent, durable, and generous enough in their size to make quick target acquisition fairly easy. Now in testing, the trigger broke at 5.5 pounds, but that was after more than 1,000 rounds fired through the GSG. Originally, the trigger broke at close to 7.25 pounds. At either weight, the trigger's purely linear travel makes learning proper trigger control easy for shooters of basically any strength or skill level. Add to that the generally light recoil of .22 long rifle, the heft of the pistol, and the addition of a suppressor, and you've got a gun that makes learning bad habits like flinching or recoil shyness very, very tough. Overall, with an MSRP of $309.95, the GSG is the perfect first pistol for shooters looking to get their feet wet with a classic American handgun, but they don't want to risk learning bad shooting habits or spending a small fortune. Look, ultimately, it can only replicate the experience of running a de facto 1911 so well, considering it's only .22 caliber. And it's not going to have the recoil simulation of the Colt Ace, but then again, it's a third of the cost. So, is the GSG 1911 an actual solid buy for the average shooter? Well, yes and no. Where it shines, in my opinion, is as not just a first gun for a shooter, but a first gun for a 1911 enthusiast, or perhaps a war history enthusiast, one who's looking later to get themselves a full caliber 1911, who wants to learn the finer points of the controls on a system that won't, break the bank with ammunition costs. That said, there are a few minor hiccups with the design that I'm not thrilled with, like the magazine safety, but for the most part, you get dovetailed slide with Novak-style iron sights, a threaded barrel perfect for a sound suppressor, like this slingshot from Silencer Shop, and it even incorporates an accessory rail and a frame that, while not steel, feels an awful lot like it. Overall, I'd say it's a pretty solid buy. It may not scratch the itch for every 1911 lover, but for those of you on a budget, it comes pretty damn close. Thanks guys. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more burst reviews.